So, next up is Melanie. So, Melanie is over here. She likes to call bugs surprises. She sells yarn on Etsy.
Actual yarn.
Yes, actual yarn.
I still think it makes you JavaScript though.
So, and she's going to tell us a little bit today about using Pokemon to catch code smells. You can guess what my favorite type of Pokemon is. Water. And with that, I'll leave you to it.
She told me yesterday, by the way, that she had this talk for all her colleagues, and I was very nervous for that, and that she was not at all nervous for today. So I think that's.
I changed my mind about that this morning, actually. So this is definitely worse.
So
I was so jealous.
So please join us in giving Melanie a warm welcome.
So good morning, everybody. It's still almost afternoon, almost lunchtime, but it doesn't matter if I talk fast because lunch is not going to be ready until it's ready. So oh well. So my name is Melanie Keatley. I work at Young Capital. We are the fastest growing employment company in the Netherlands. It's funny actually because the second talk we had today was about job boards, and it was very, I think, recognizable for many of us on the team because we have also many job boards. We also have things like contracting and declaration of hours and like lots and lots of magic that goes with employing people. So this is a picture from one of our most recent hackathons. We were doing gamification and my team was hooking up a Dance Dance Revolution mat to a Raspberry Pi for reasons. It's a really great team. I'm sure everybody loves their teams, but I really love my team. So there's lots of Young Capital people walking around, and we've got black T-shirts, and just come talk to us. We're a fun bunch. So I studied journalism in college, and that means that I'm kind of good at Googling stuff. So it's really useful in software development. I am also a raging introvert, so I quickly discovered it wasn't really for me, and I changed to communications. I worked there for a little bit, and when I was 33, I was filling lots of websites with content, writing newsletters, but I really wanted to make those websites, so yeah, I signed up for a Rails Girls workshop in October 2013, similar to the one that was organized yesterday. And I just loved it so much. It was like, I opened the terminal, it was like opening the hood of a car. Like, I can do all this stuff? This is amazing. So I almost didn't make it to that workshop because a week earlier I tried to teach myself how to skateboard. And I ended up in the ER. This is me and my sister in the back. She's got my skateboard on her lap. But for some reason, I decided to drag my broken foot and my crutches on a train from Amsterdam to The Hague, and I got to the workshop. It was amazing. 6 years later, I'm on the EuRuKo stage, so hooray for doing things. Yep. So I'm not here to talk about my feet today. I'm here to talk about brains, because my brain can be super annoying. It sometimes tells me, you don't belong here. Some people might call this imposter syndrome or anxiety. Imposter syndrome is where you have this internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. For me, it's really a feeling of everybody else is just way better at this than I am. And like honestly, this didn't magically appear when I started doing software development. I had it in communications. I had it at college. I'm a parent. I have it as a parent. All the other moms know what they're doing. Like, I'm just faking it. So yeah, earlier this year, it's all going on. So it's also like a little bit of self-preservation, right? If I tell myself I'm really bad at this, and then if something fails, it's like, that's okay. I'm not good at this. It's expected. And if I do succeed, it's like, yay, I wasn't good at this, but look what happened. It's great. Yay me. And so at the beginning of this year, something really funny happened. I had a really good annual review at work, and people were saying nice things about me. It felt like a smack in the face. I was like, damn, these people take me so seriously. I need to start taking myself seriously. And I need to start taking my career seriously. And so, sort of, in this sort of path of taking myself seriously and showing up for myself, I said, let's start at the basics. Let's learn about code smells. And so it turns out there is nothing like learning to shut up your stupid brain. So I wanted to learn about code smells. So I went to YouTube, because it's 2019. And I watched this talk by Sandy Metz. It's called Get a Whiff of This. It's for RailsConf, and I really recommend watching that if you haven't seen it already. And in this talk, this book by Martin Fowler and Kent Beck is heavily referenced. It's called Refactoring. Don't know if you've seen it. It's really big, very thick, lots of pages, lots of words. So to make it easier, there's a company called Industrial Logic, and they've made this PDF. It's a kind of like a cheat sheet. It's called a reference guide to code smells. So on the left, we have like code smells, and on the right, it just references where in the book you can find a way to defeat this code smell. I'm looking at this page, and I'm thinking, reference guide? This looks like a strategy guide. I used to play Pokemon a lot as a kid. And so you can find these strategy guides online now. But back in the day, my sister and I would go to a physical store, buy physical gaming magazine, and you would have these reference guides, or strategy guides, sorry. And they would say rock Pokemon are weak against water. Fire Pokemon are great against bug types and grass types. And so then that kind of popped this idea into my brain. I thought, Pokemon are super similar to code smells. They belong to a certain group. They have a particular way of being defeated. They all have really silly names. Why don't I create Pokemon for each code smell? And so, okay, cool. What do Pokemon look like? Because on the one hand, we have Ditto, and I can do this, I think. But we also have Charizard, and I'm not an artist. I can't draw this. This is hard for me. So I thought, okay, the idea of this exercise is not going to be Melanie's becoming a super fancy artist. I'm going to sort of pull out the essence of what is a code smell and put it into a super simple character, something that works for my brain, and then just give it a weird name. And so that's what I did. This is my notebook, and I just drew little characters. And let's go through them. So the first group is dispensables, and these are things in your code that you can easily get rid of. And the first one is Chatkula. And he represents comments, and his mouth is a little hashtag. And so this also brings me to a point of code smells. Code smells are not something that are inherently terrible and should never do. It's just that when you see comments, if you have a ton of them to make your code understandable, then maybe there's some refactoring in order. It's a smell. It's not like this is bad, but this is maybe something to look at. Next group is data class, Containeron. This is a class that has data. Other objects in your code are using all the data, but the class itself has no functionality. Duplicate code is copy-free. And so people say, duplicate code is terrible, and I never do that. But yeah, it happens quite frequently. We all understand this, right? You're doing Agile, you get a ticket, it says do the thing, you do the thing. Do you check your entire code base that you hate, see if you can do some unduplication, like, no, the ticket is done. Next. It's really bad, but yes, we do these things. Next group is sleep sore, is the lazy class. So a giant code base takes time from your team and is expensive to maintain. So if you have classes that do not earn their keep, you should try to get rid of them. Same with dead code. If it's not doing anything, get rid of it. This is maybe use speculative generality. It's got little question marks as eyes. So this is where you're building a thing and then you think, well, maybe later on I can use this parameter. Let's shovel this stuff in here and make it accept LE. If you don't need it now, like, don't build it now. The next group are change preventers. So this group is stuff that's in your code that makes it hard to change, or you get sort of like fearful of changing. Oh, let's not change this, because then, ugh. So this is divergent change. I drew Dominatron. So you have a class, say a product class, and you're adding type. And now you have to change the methods for finding, displaying, ordering products. Next group, shootoid, shotgun surgery. So when you know you're in shotgun surgery hell, when you make tiny change, and then you have to make all these other tiny changes all throughout your code base. I really like drawing this one because it's like a gun and it's shooting hearts and health because it's trying to make everything better. Next one is Iceberger, parallel inheritance hierarchies. So this is, you have a parent class and a subclass, and you make changes to the subclass, and then you have to make changes to all the other subclasses. Next group is bloaters, so things that plump up your code. You have Longtron, who represents the long method. Largoth, who represents Lars class. Listzilla, the long parameter list. Clumpling, data clumps. So data clumps are when you have groups of parameters throughout your code that are like the same. It just appears over and over again. You can extract those, put them in a separate class, make your code modular. Prometrion is primitive obsession. This is when you're using primitives instead of small objects. So, and this is, again, it's like one of those things. Do I need to write an entire class for this? I'll just use a string. To me, it's not the right tool for the right job. To me, it felt like fitting a square peg into a round hole. So this is why he looks like this. Next group is couplers. We have Fency for feature envy. So this method accesses data from another object way more than its own data. And so to me, this is like a little guy. He's like always looking over the fence because the grass is greener on the other side. So, and that reminded me of that TV show from the 90s, Home Improvement. So I gave him a little fishing hat. It has nothing to do with the code smell. That was for me. Grabite is inappropriate intimacy. So this is when your class uses the internal fields of other classes. Chainron, message change. This is when your code is structured as a series of message calls. So this talks to this, talks to this, talks to this. And the first object is completely dependent on this series of calls running through successfully. And that reminded me of that game that kids play, right? Chinese whispers. So someone whispers something in one kid's ear, and then go to the next, and so on and so forth. And at the end, you have something completely different. Middleman or middle manager, he has one job. That's to tell everybody else what to do. Why does he exist? This is the last group, OO abusers. So this is incomplete or incorrect applications of object-oriented programming principles. Switchzilla for the complicated switch statement. Tempty for the temporary field. Is there value in this field or not? It's really hard. And so if your code is hard to understand, it's expensive because people are looking at it over and over and over again and wasting all their time, and that's wasting money. So this is my absolute favorite. I think every parent will understand what's happening here. This is Refusion, or it stands for refused bequest. So this is when you have a parent class and then a child class, and the child class uses some methods and properties from the parent class, but not everything. And it reminded me of my 4-year-old who was like super happy to eat white rice all day long, but like if I give him vegetables, he's like, no, don't want that. Last one is same Clops, alternative classes with different interfaces. So these two classes perform identical functions, but they have different method names. And they reminded me of 2 cans of cola, Pepsi and Coke. So this is why I drew them like this. So this is all a little bit silly, right? Drawing Pokemon for code smells. But it really helped me in understanding and retaining this information. So I wanted to know more about this. Like, why is doodling silly characters? Why does that work? And so, like someone who formerly journalist, I did some more research, as in I went to Google. And so it turns out, in 2016, the University of Waterloo in Canada did a series of experiments on memory recall. So they got some people in and they divided them in 2 groups, Group A, Group B. And Group A is instructed, they all get a list of words. And Group A is instructed to do rote learning. And that is when you write a word over and over and over again in hopes that at some point it will stick in your brain. This is probably something you've all done in school. The second group is instructed to draw a picture. So draw an apple, draw a balloon, et cetera, et cetera. So the scientists take the people away and they give them a bogus exercise to do, and they take them back. And then they quiz them on how many words they can recall in 60 seconds. And it turns out that the doodlers actually remember twice as many words as the people who have done rote learning. And scientists speculate that the reason why picture memory is superior is because that pictures kind of make an automatic connection to the pictures in your brain. So if you draw a tree, your brain connects it to the tens of thousands of pictures of trees that you've seen in your lifetime. But if, like the word tree is just kind of that, the word tree. Also, great news for people like me who are not amazing artists. This helps also, like a shitty drawing. The quality of the picture has no reflection on memory recall. So you can make like whatever you want. As long as it works for you, it's fine. So the benefits of doodling are not just memory recall and memory retention. Scientists believe that the sort of rhythmic motion of doodling, it activates a relaxation response in your body, and it counters fight or flight instincts. It reduces cortisol, which is your body's stress hormone. So this is a side view of a brain. I'm sorry. So it kind of makes sense, right? Humans are very visual creatures. And a study from Drexel University showed that the process of making art actually stimulates your brain's reward center. So that's two blue things. It's the same area that is affected by dancing, by laughing, by eating chocolate, if that's your thing. And participants in this study also reported feeling more creative and better able to problem solve. So generally speaking, humans are just better at processing visual data compared to text. So we process images 60,000 times faster than text. And 90% of the information that enters our brain is visual information. So that's super cool, right? But what are we looking at all day at work? It's words. And I think we can do better. And I'm not saying that we should all burn our text editors and start doing Scratch and other visual programming tools. It would be super cool, but I don't think it would be very practical. But we can use this information. So if you are trying to grasp a complex programming principle, you can doodle it out. This is the law of Demeter. You can pick your nose, you can pick your friends, you cannot pick your friend's nose. Are you explaining code smells to fellow engineers? Make a Pokemon for them. Are you explaining something to your project manager? Like, just get them and draw it out for them on paper. Are you designing an app? Sketch it out, give it to your stakeholders and say, is this going to work for you? Because this is what we're going to build. Engineering teams should have whiteboard markers coming out of their ears. Do we have that, though? We are glued to our text editors, and I think we can do better. So next time that you're at work, pick up a pen and doodle it. Thank you.
Nice.
Yes.
I really like your visual explanation of the law of Demeter.